Hello and welcome to the Middle East Brokers Podcast, a podcast made by real estate agents for real estate agents, where we explore all aspects and the nuances and the intricacies of being a real estate agent in the GCC region and the Middle East in general. If you are new to the channel, welcome. We're really glad that you're here listening to this podcast. Make sure that you subscribe or follow, depending on the platform you are using to listen in. And if you are returning, welcome back. It's great to have you back here. And again, just a reminder, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe and follow. It really helps us and lets us know that what we're doing is something that you are interested in, so we can continue to bring more relevant content to you. Now, the Middle East is very interesting in the sense that the real estate profession is a profession very much in the evolution, unlike some of the European or Western regions in the world, where this is a very well-regulated and relatively mature profession. And there are very specific sort of guidelines and compliance and regulations that are governing this profession, whereas in the Middle East there are some regions that are a bit more mature on the spectrum of a regulated profession, while most are still sort of in that evolutionary process and ramping up the compliance and regulatory guidelines that will ultimately govern this profession. But one thing that is common around the world is that the real estate profession carries with it a stigma. Now, there are certain professions, that are sort of characterized by having stigmas in, stereotypes in people's minds. And real estate profession, unfortunately, is no exception to that. And there are sort of certain aspects of the profession that are sort of presenting challenges to those that are trying to succeed in this profession. And real estate agents, as professionals, help people buy and sell property. So this is very much a relationship-based business. It requires sort of the challenges and the nuances of on trying to succeed, just like any other entrepreneur would face as they establish and launch their business and want to grow their business. But real estate agents face very unique challenges in the form of stereotypes and myths and sort of the stigmas, as I said earlier, that are affecting the reputation of this profession. And whether directly or indirectly, it impacts the ability for the real estate agent to earn an income, right? I mean, depending on what area, what region or country you're from, or what culture you belong to, real estate agents sort of have this reputation of being dishonest or greedy, right? They'll say anything to get the sale, or they might even bend the truth, if not straight up lie, to make a deal. Which, I mean, it's important to know that not all real estate agents are created equal, right? There are those that are professional and adhere to the sort of the professional standards that maintain the integrity of the profession. There's also this myth that agents just work flexible hours, they work whenever they want to work. But the fact of the matter is, really, just like any entrepreneur who would try to establish a business from ground up and have it grow, it requires working very long hours, and that is very much true for the real estate profession, right? And let's not forget that being a real estate agent means accepting the unpredictability of income, right? We go through periods where there is no income, depending on how the market is running, depending on how the economy is doing. We go through periods where it's slow, and we could go weeks or months, quarters even, where we don't have any income, any commission check coming in. And that's a stressful situation, especially if you are a sole bread earner of your family. You are trying to support children. You've got sort of future goals for your children, for yourself, for your family. You're supporting your parents, your siblings. In any of those scenarios, these can be very, very stressful, and it can become quite an emotional sort of roller coaster for some of these agents, and that's that's an acceptance, that's a reality that real estate agents have to accept. And of course, that's on top of the challenges that they face in the marketplace, where in the absence of a regular or regulated and controlled sort of environment under specific legal guidelines, they're having to work extra hard to win their rights against the clients. Now, we are fortunate to have a very special guest on our show here today, who has recently embarked on this journey after having spent a considerable part of their career in the corporate world, and are now in the transition where they are pivoting in towards becoming a real estate agent and sort of immersing themselves in the real estate domain. Mr. Rakan Ghoth, I welcome you to our show. Thanks again for making the time to join and talk to us today.
Thank you very much for having me, and it's always exciting to have these podcast sessions with you, Amran, especially knowing what we intend to achieve, which is support the up-and-coming real estate brokers in the region. And let's get it started.
Yo, absolutely, yeah, and that's the objective here. But for the benefit of our listeners, I would love for you to just give us a little bit of a brief in terms of who you are and what sort of journey you've had as far as your career is concerned, and then how did you or at what point did you realize that this would be a viable option for you to pursue?
Well, I started off graduating as an accountant, and I joined E&Y and PwC, which are both external auditors, for a year or so. And then I moved into startups, and I started off with an airline, a local coast carrier, in the accounting and finance department. And then I moved to work in a financial platform that supports investments and people who would like to invest. And then I moved to internal auditing in Saudi Aramco. And then I moved into continue being an auditor at a local hospital in Riyadh. And all of these, all the time that I spent in my career, I think I've managed to get certain caliber and certain skills that would support me in this profession. And knowing the demand, and knowing, as you said in the beginning, that the market is still not mature in this region. So I think there is a big opportunity for people who are also well taken care of within the corporate realm to actually try and pursue this on the side even until they can make a decision to pursue it in full aspect.
So you saw an opportunity there, and was it an event that happened in your life, or I mean, what happened where you saw an opportunity and you decided to pursue?
Well, what happened is I said it in the previous podcast, was just being in touch with my close friend and mentor, Abdullah Abdul Qadir, and him letting me know about the real estate broker lifestyle that I saw it in him. Like he was representing a real estate broker lifestyle. And I thought that's something I should be pursuing because it's a good lifestyle, and it gives you financial freedom and time freedom as well, which gives you a better quality of life with your family, with your loved ones. So that's really the main reason. And the fact that he himself said, Rakan, you can do it. I'm sure you can do it. I have other guys who are less qualified, who haven't been in any corporate background, and they made it. So, and then comes the opportunity of EXP through you in Canada, and you told me about EXP, and things clicked. Like I couldn't believe that, and it makes a lot of sense that a new platform on the cloud is coming in, and it's a paradigm shift for the real estate industry. And I saw
That's
it.
right.
I saw what Uber did to the taxi industry. I saw what Booking did to the travel industry. So yeah, that's when I thought I have to pursue this, especially um, what adds also to the point is EXP is built on a structure that forces all the whoever in the network of the real estate broker to actually work together to transform knowledge and information and be supportive. So if you just have the commitment and you're open to learn, you have all the resources to make you successful.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I just to build a little bit more context to what you're saying, we mentioned Abdullah Abdulqadir's name. Abdullah, if you're listening, hey, what's up, brother? We can't wait to have you join us here very soon as
He
well.
promised that he'll be on the next one.
Excellent. That's going to be a very special episode indeed. Can't wait to have you on. So yeah, EXP, I mean, I started off in Canada and now we're in Dubai, and it's only a matter of time when EXP is going to be in Saudi Arabia as well. That's not a statement that represents EXP's plans. That is my own personal wish, if you will. And I've got the eye for innovation, which is why I joined EXP, and it has completely changed my life. But you're absolutely right, right? I mean, you nailed you hit the nail right on the head with the statement that you saw an opportunity in building a lifestyle that is attractive to you, right? And I talk to a lot of agents all over the world, and besides the obvious that, yeah, they want to help people, they want to be a part of that effort to make people's lives better. When you dig deeper a little bit, you realize ultimately it's really about two things. They want to have financial freedom, and they want to have a lifestyle. They want to create a lifestyle that they can love living. And real estate indeed is that channel that can get you to that destination very, very quickly if you do it right. However, I do want to mention something, that you have an amazing background, a wealth of knowledge in the domain that you've come from the corporate world and your education. However, that is the beauty of the real estate career, right? And the career of a real estate agent, where you don't have to have that, stacked up level of education. You don't have to have an MBA, a master's business degree, if you want to succeed. Now, of course, it helps you if you are, if you have that. Of course, you've got an advantage. But is it an advantage that you absolutely need? No. I know plenty of real estate agents that have done amazing without any of those decorated degrees or diplomas or qualifications, right? What you need is a passion, and you need a strategy, because this is ultimately a business. And when you are a real estate agent, you have to operate yourself like a business. Now, without getting too far off track, coming back to what we're talking about in today's episode is the barriers to entry, besides the obvious, which is, you have to have a license, and, if there's any exam that you have to pass, there are certain costs that you have to think about. initial upcoming or initial ongoing cost, or initial one-time costs, and then ongoing operating costs. Besides all of those, there is an emotional barrier as well. There is a specific factor within society that an agent or an aspiring agent or a prospective agent has to overcome. And I'm curious to hear your thoughts on whether or not you faced any barriers like that as you made the decision to become an agent.
Well, the stigma of a real estate agent is he's going to be rich and very well, yeah, and living a very good life. And over here, the real estate agent, as you said, is depending on relations. And so if your father has a bunch of buildings and your uncle has a farm or an istiraha or a villa that he wants to rent out, and you are taking care of this for the family, and then somebody comes and says, hey, Rakan, do you know of any apartment available? And say, yes, there is this building, there's that building, there's that building. So people usually who are in this business are inherently rich. And that's mainly how the good real estate brokers are working in the region. But now, with the new regulation, now it's still, you can still benefit from that kind of connection and relations, but the new regulation puts some licensing and puts some a bit of professionalism had to be achieved by these real estate brokers. So then you find the companies that are working in the real estate broker. So there is those guys who are working in the corporate real estate, and those ones, the perception on them is that they're only there to sell the developer's property, or the developer, and represent that kind of perspective, not the client perspective. And then comes your day-to-day.
You mean the buyer's perspective?
Yes, the buyer's perspective.
Because the developers are the clients for them as well, right? Yeah.
Yes. And then there are the local mom and pop shop offices of real estate, where you find real estate brokers that are, first of all, not Saudi, which is a requirement in the law over here, and they only want to, or the stigma about them is that they are greedy. They just want to get you into any property that is there, regardless of the inconveniences that is there. They'll try to hide things. And that's where most of the experiences are, which is unfortunate. And then all what they do is they take their cut of the sa'i, which is the effort that they've done, which is 2.5%. I go look for the apartments and everything, and I go from office to office, and they show me what they have, and then they call for their commission. It's not like they went out of their way to look for another option.
So you've done, as a buyer, you've done your legwork, you've done your homework, and you feel like, you're having to unfairly and unreasonably pay that commission off to an agent who didn't do anything for you.
Yes, so that's the main stigma. But looking at
how did that make you feel when you were thinking? You're thinking here, okay, I'm going to be one of those guys. I want to get myself licensed and become one of them. Did that make you pause? That kind of stigma that exists, or that kind of reputation for the profession that exists?
No, it didn't, because as you said, not all real estate brokers are like that. And as well, knowing that the new regulation is coming, and there is a new transformation happening to the real estate industry. There are new companies now launched by PIF, the Public Investment Fund, that will take care of real estate investment, and they've announced that foreigners can actually own in Saudi Arabia, which means the market is soon going to be very well regulated. And that's the opportunity that I'm waiting for. And that's why I pursued to get the license.
Excellent. Excellent. So there's lots of work happening on the governance layer for this profession. The policies are being revised and reconsidered, or new policies are being created to bring a level of regulation and protection for all parties involved, right? And I think the opportunity there for the Saudi market is to really look at the real estate transaction and analyze the transaction, identify who all the stakeholders are, and the policies need to cater to every stakeholder in a transaction. And I think, when we look at Dubai, for example, there's a big difference in how the real estate profession or the real estate broker operates in Dubai, where it's very much in line with some of the more developing economies. Not that the Saudi is not a developing economy. I mean, it's very much a developed economy. I mean, but it's, as far as the profession is, it's just not as regulated, and complete opposite in Dubai, which is heavily regulated, right? There's so much control that has been put in place, and what that has done is that has created an awareness not only for the real estate agent, but for the other stakeholders. So from the developers and the builders, like you said, the sellers as well, right? So that awareness in turn has driven a certain degree of respect for the profession, because we know that there are laws that are governing this.
Even to secure the rights of those stakeholders. Like, can you imagine that a lot of the new and happening real estate brokers, which are coming up with the new social media platforms. Like, I know a lady who is on YouTube. She has a channel, and she goes from property to property to mention how good it is, to show she's basically marketing those properties, but with the facts, what she sees on the ground, what are the phone numbers, how much is the price, what is the square meters. She showcases the floor plans and all, and puts her opinion on, I think this is a really good house for a four people family, or 5 people family. And at the end of the video, she says, please, if you do complete that transaction with this developer, don't forget me from my commission.
But so you're saying she doesn't have a relationship with the builder, with the developer? There's nothing official.
Not the developer.
Taking it upon herself.
Yes, and she assumes that if you do and go close the deal and make that transaction, you should approach her and tell her, I found this house because of you, and I owe you 2.5%, which is the culture. That's why this profession, for those who are successful in it, is a very honorable, and in the culture, in the society, it's known that everyone has to get his commission since they worked on it. Sometimes there are contracts, but in most cases, like this lady, for example, she assumes that you're going to come back and give her commission. And,
okay, well,
and this assumption is not like this is the only place where I saw this happen. I saw even in haraj.com, which is a platform to buy, like Craigslist, for people who don't know haraj.com.
Or like the eBay.
Or like Dubizzle in Dubai. Some people, not some people, the platform itself says, if you do that transaction on a real estate, we assume that you're going to give us a call and let us have our commission.
So there are scenarios where contracts exist. There are scenarios where contracts don't exist. However, in both scenarios, there are real successes that exist in the market today, right? So imagine when you sort of make the contracts and sort of standardized, and you put standards in place, and you put the regulations around them. Imagine the opportunity that we'll have. But it's really important, if you're looking to hang your license with a brokerage, that you do your due diligence, because going back to what you said at the beginning of this episode, you had the benefit of having a wonderful and excellent mentor, somebody who provided you with that guidance and helped you train as a new agent to get on that success path, right? So speaking of that, how important is it for an agent, whether they're a new agent or even an experienced agent, to work with a mentor?
Of course, it's very essential, and it will help them accelerate the process and the journey. And there are many things that you could learn by doing the mistakes, or you can approach things with some awareness. And that's certain things can only be uh, achieved at that level with an experienced person who can see every bump on the road, every obstacle that might come in, and even build up your approach to closing the deal in a manner of less risk, and all the risks are mitigated. For example, if you want to make a relationship with a certain client, and you want to go and search for them in accordance to their detailed requirements. If you didn't have the right process of gathering the information initially, then you might be ending up being inefficient and getting things that are not up to par, or not even being able to know if you have a real client, or a guy who just wants you to run and do errands for him, and then he goes
Right.
somewhere else.
Tire
So
kickers,
if
as
you
we
want
call
to
them.
manage that
Yeah.
relationship, you need to have those forms and those information up ahead. Even tomorrow, when he says, "No, I didn't say I want something like that." So, well, these are your papers. Are you here? Are you serious here, or what? Of course, you need to approach with manners, and
Professionalism.
you need to be also wise. Are you wasting your time, or are you serving somebody who um, is truly honest about his decision of investing or buying?
Wise words indeed. Thank you so much for that insight, Rakan. It's always a pleasure to have you here. And there you have it, folks. I mean, we heard in this episode that even with the stigmas that are associated with the real estate profession, this is a very much a growing industry, because it is a viable profession with a bright future and an opportunity for the new agents and also for existing agents to fight that stigma and to prove to society that this is definitely a profession that demands honesty, integrity, and can be a viable option for you to support your family with. Because many in the world are doing it, and they're doing it really well. And the same opportunity exists for brokers in the Middle East as well. And there are many examples that we can take from, and those are the examples that should be the accurate representation of what is possible for this profession. Do not go and make anecdotal observations, with a few bad apples, if you will, from the basket, from the batch, and make generalizations, because that does not represent us. We're here to help people genuinely, because we're chasing a destination for ourselves. We want to help people and then help our own selves in the process, right? And that's a topic for another episode, where we'll talk about, really we'll break down and explore the two key aspects of why agents get into the profession to begin with. And And I'm really excited to be talking about that. Thanks again, Rakan, for your time. It was always a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you very much.
Thanks again for listening. We appreciate you. Until next time.